Our startup programming engages early-stage, underrepresented entrepreneurs, both off and online through our tech inclusion platform, to provide access to networks, funding opportunities, mentors, talent, and more. So as part of our startup programming, I have the pleasure of welcoming you to our first Tech Inclusion New York Startup Showcase presented by Techstars. And we will be featuring 11 entrepreneurs from New York's vibrant startup community in the EdTech, FinTech, and software as a service space. The format of this showcase is going to take place in two different pitch sessions. This is the first session. We'll have 5 entrepreneurs. And then at 4 p.m., we'll have the second pitch session of 6 entrepreneurs. And each entrepreneur will have 4 minutes to pitch, and then 3 minutes of Q&A with the judges. And then the judges will be scoring the entrepreneurs based on delivery and content of their pitch. And we'll have winners at the closing ceremony, so please stick around. To further motivate the entrepreneurs, we have prizes by our amazing sponsors. Without them, this wouldn't exist. So for third place, we have Techstars Investor Session. Galvanize 50% discount on a 1-month membership at their new space in New York, just announced. DigitalOcean is offering a 200 credit towards hosting services. Namecheap is offering, plus gift bag, and Namecheap is offering 200 in credits for hosting or domain services, and also there's a 500 cash prize. Second place receives Techstar Investor Session, Galvanize 50% discount on a 1-month membership, DigitalOcean of $500 in credits plus gift bag, $250 in credits for hosting or domain services with Namecheap, and a $1,500 cash prize. We're going to have Elevate Network, a network that connects, empowers, and invests in women to select and award Best Female Entrepreneur with a 1-year membership, entrepreneurship membership to their network. And then finally, we have First Prize, which receives Techstar Investor Office Hours and founder coaching sessions. Microsoft $120,000 credit for cloud services. Galvanize 1-month membership to their new office space here in New York for up to 4 members. DigitalOcean 1,000 credits in hosting services. Namecheap 250 in credits for hosting or domain services. And a 3,000 cash prize. I see your smile over there. So can you please give a round of applause for our wonderful sponsors? Make this possible. Before we get started, I'd like to present our esteemed panel of judges. Collectively, they are angel entrepreneurs, early and late-stage investors with specialties in fintech, software as a service, edtech, and more. So can you please welcome Natalia Oberti Noguera.
They needed another white Latina, you might have noticed.
Richard Kirby from Venrock. Sorry, Natalia from Pipeline Angels. Richard Kirby from Venrock. And Teresa Nemeshani from Microsoft. So now we're going to kick off the showcase with our first entrepreneur. Will you please welcome to the stage Tanya Van Court from ISO.
They won't be able to see our slides. Should they relocate?
Oh, no, from here.
Turn here. Oh, they're there. Fantastic. And I will be able to see them.
Oh, sorry.
Testing. Perfect. Let me know when. My daughter was 8, about to turn 9, and she said, "Mommy, for my 9th birthday, I really only want 2 things." And I said, "Fantastic, what's that?" She said, "Number 1, I hope people give me enough money so I can finish saving for my investment account. And number 2, I want a bike." And I thought to myself, those are amazing goals, and you will likely not get either one of them. Instead, you'll get like 3 rainbow looms, a sew your own purse kit, a make your own gum kit, and a whole host of other stuff that well-intentioned people give to you. It sits in the corner of my living room until I graciously re-gift it to another really lucky child. And that's when I realized that gift giving to young people significantly needs a redesign. There are 96 million young people in this country lower than 22 years old, and we are spending billions and billions of dollars every single year buying them gifts that they don't need, don't use, and often don't want. And principally, it's because so many of them already have too much and value far too little. Last year, at our company, iSew, we conducted a survey of 500 moms across the country, and we asked them, and what they told us in that survey is that 2 out of 3 of them wish there were a better way to celebrate birthdays and holidays for their kids, because their kids already have too much stuff. Too much stuff, yet 2 out of 3 parents doesn't know what a 529 account is, and 75% of American families is living check to check. My company, iSew, is going to fundamentally solve the problem of gift giving to young people and simultaneously teach them healthy financial habits that will last a lifetime. With iSew, young people will be able to, instead of receiving goods on birthdays, holidays, and every other gift giving opportunity, register for goals in 3 important categories: saving for the future, sharing with those who are less fortunate, and spending on things that matter. And for uncles, aunts, grandparents, people who are coming to that birthday party, we are going to save you from the Saturday morning shuffle, running down to the toy store, buying a gift for $30 that will eventually end up in a landfill. And instead, you can check out that young person's iSew profile, see what they're sewing for, and contribute $10 to their savings goals, $10 to their causes, and $10 to their wishes. iSew has a triple bottom line diversified revenue stream, which includes, number 1, we take a 5% transaction fee off of every transaction that comes through our platform. Number 2, similar to Mint.com or NerdWallet, our endeavor is to get young people into responsible financial vehicles. And so our partners like Wealthfront will give us a lead referral fee when we do so. And number 3, when that young person saves enough money for their bike, like my daughter, we'll pop up a buy now button, they'll go over to Amazon, buy their bike, and so we'll get an affiliate fee back from that seller. We launched in December 2015. Already, we have a formidable relationship with SheKnows.com and BlogHer, which reach 86 million moms every single month and have dedicated $100,000 to helping us get to mom bloggers and mommy influencers. We also have cemented relationships with nonprofit organizations like Save the Children and the Waterkeepers Alliance, which are dedicated to going out and telling all of their constituents to start sewing and name them as the cause. We've been featured in Fast Company, in Yahoo Finance, in CNN, and in Stanford Magazine. Sew has a significant network potential. And that significant network potential comes with every single user who tells just 10 people that they're sewing, like in a birthday invitation as an example. And if 1.5 of those people indicates that they too would like to start sewing, then we will have 10,000 people by the end of year 1, 500,000 people by the end of year 2, and 14 million people by the end of year 3, with an incredible network effect.
End to end.
And ending?
Yeah.
Thank you for your time today. I just ask you all to join our movement, whether it's by picking up your phone now and setting up a profile at isow.com or investing in us or writing about us in the future, because we all know you reap what you sow. Thank you. I am now open for questions.
So the product is live right now?
The product is live. It's been live since December.
Since December.
Yes.
What's the growth been so far of users and
So-
return rate?
So in December, we launched in beta. We just came out of beta in April. We now have about 1,600 users, and 400 of those we literally added in the past week. So we've been learning a lot. We're understanding who our demographic is, who our early adopters are, and where we find them. We actually relaunched our homepage in order to speak to them. They are teenage girls, principally, high school and college. And so we are really finding those users and adding them voraciously.
And you mentioned, obviously, BlogHer and other channels. What are channels that have been working best for you so far to bring on parents and children?
So there are a few. BlogHer has been a significant and tremendous channel for us. In fact, in August, we are going back to BlogHer because it has yielded such great results for us. That's one. In terms of bringing on children, we have a partnership with a company called Kudzu. They actually pay kids to get good grades. And so they have a lot of people right in our demo who are on their platform. And so they have been actually our lowest cost per acquisition channel.
And is it primarily parents who bring their children on board, or are children finding the platform and saying, hey, mom and dad, can I get on this?
Or mom
So
and mom.
Or that as well.
Right. So the amazing thing about that is we initially said it's going to be both, but our site was really targeted to speak to moms. So kids said, this looks really great, but I think it's for my mom. We now relaunch, and so we're speaking to the young person. So the young person is really excited to jump on, but then the mom sees it, and they're excited to jump on too. So we got to lead with the kid, and then mom or dad will follow.
Can you talk a little bit more about how it works, Tanya?
Yes, absolutely. So it's really simple. 90 seconds you can sign up, and then you add goals in those three categories: saving, sharing, and spending. You can say that your goal is, for savings, college or an investment account. For sharing, I really care about kids in Haiti, or I want to get new books for my local school or library. And then spending, I really want a bike. And then we create a personalized URL for each of our users, so they can send that in a birthday invitation. They can send it out before Christmas. Mom can give it to people who call up and say, what does Gabrielle want for blank holiday? And so they share their SO profile, and all throughout the year, the people who love them can go check it out and say, I want to get Gabrielle something because she got good grades. I'm going to contribute to her SO profile. So it's not one time, it's all the time. It's not about project development, it's about people development. And it's also about getting them into these responsible financial vehicles. So when they have saved $200, we'll say, hey, $500. You saved $500. You can now get an account with our partner Wealthfront. You should think about doing that with your money.
May I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
One more. I'll make it quick. So I'm a mom too. Daughters 13 and 9, and definitely down for the too much junk, for sure. At the same time, there definitely is, come birthday time or Christmas or whatever, there's an ooh factor, to just unwrapping the gift. Like whatever's on the inside almost is immaterial.
That's right.
How, and this is a tough format because it's like 5 minutes and whatnot. Sure. Could you describe to me what's the wow factor for the kid? What are they experiencing?
Absolutely. There are two wow factors. Number one is mom still gets them that favorite 1 or 2 toys that they want, and then everyone else contributes to their ISO profile. And so they actually get some of the little stuff that they want, but they start to learn long-term goal orientation, and everyone else can contribute to those goals as well. The second thing, in terms of the wow factor, we launched on December 3rd. My son's birthday is December 4th. He's 6 years old. After the weekend, I said, hey, Hendrix, you got some contributions to your SO profile. He looked at it and said, oh, Mom, does this mean I get an investment account? So the wow factor is seeing that money grow, being excited about when you get contributions, and when you reach a goal. Isn't that a big wow for all of us? Way more exciting than I just opened up my 3rd Spider-Man doll, which was his experience a year ago before we had ISO.
On that note,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
ISO.
Thank you all for your time. ISOW.com. Go set up a profile. Sorry.
Now please welcome to the stage Taylor Justice from Unitas.
Ready?
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Taylor Justice, and I am the co-founder of Unite Us. And we are a tech company that is reinventing the delivery of health, human, and social services. My passion for this industry began a few years ago when I was the local leader of a national nonprofit organization that was focused on helping veterans connect with physical fitness opportunities. And what we found were veterans were coming in with needs outside of what our organization could facilitate, needing education, employment, housing, disability claims. And it was very difficult for our team to scramble around and try to connect with community partners. It was very inefficient, very time-consuming, and we felt technology could be an answer to this problem. So what I and my fellow co-founders did was create a company that was more than just software. We design, build, and deploy best-in-class case management and care coordination solutions, specifically initially focused on the veteran and military community. And so before Unite Us, there was a problem for clients and organizations to connect with each other, to access care, and refer to one another. And intuitively, and it's proven, we see that people come in almost always with more than one service category that needs to be addressed, education and housing. But the system isn't coordinated, and it's very difficult for providers to send referrals and track end-to-end outcomes. With Unite Us, we solved that problem. We applied the healthcare model of care coordination to human and social services, allowing these organizations to connect and unify public, private, nonprofits on a common centralized platform. They can send secure, electronic, HIPAA-compliant referrals, tracking, again, 100% of outcomes on all patients in multiple categories of service. And our business model is pretty simple. We're a software-as-a-service platform that can either sell comprehensive case management technology to individual organizations and layer that on top of a greater community network of providers in multiple service categories. One of the benefits of our technology is now that it's in the hands of thousands of organizations across the country, we're able to exponentially impact the lives of communities. And in our short history, a few of our milestones, we are now coordinating care in some of the most prominent veteran and military communities with large multi-year contracts. We're also coordinating care for city governments as well. And by the end of this year, we'll be in more than 25 city-states coordinating the care for veteran and military families. And what we found were the challenges and issues that face the veteran and military population are not unique. They're just the best petri dish of American society when you look at age, race, socioeconomic status. So that's why we're expanding to encompass all health, human, and social services. And so if you look at the health and human services industry as a whole, it's approximately $600 billion market. Our addressable opportunity is $50 billion. If you look at the Department of Health and Human Services alone, last year they spent $25 billion on IT spend, representing 25% of state and local IT budgets. And with our technology, we want to target this market. We want to target this market because there's a strong focus on collaboration, connecting health, and integrating that with social services. So our purpose-filled mission is implemented by a group of passionate individuals, 3 co-founders, our CTO, and 25 individuals that span software development and customer success. Our overall mission and vision here is to have Unite Us in the hands of every health, human, and social service provider on the globe, because we're more than just software, we're making care smarter. Thank you.
I have an easy question. You don't have to answer it. You can sleep on it, which is potentially, are you thinking of adding women to your management team? You can sleep on it.
Well, to answer that really quick,
then
30% of our company is women. We have women on our advisory board. We take it very seriously.
Awesome. And so I'd love for you to see, to consider adding someone on
Absolutely.
the management team. my other question is actually what you described as an interesting B2B marketplace, and that's where the money is. And you mentioned 4 specific words: health, human, and social services. Would love to hear a little bit about like where you see traction. Like, is there one sub-vertical, like where you're gaining more traction than another one?
Well, so we're a little bit different in the sense where we're trying to coordinate all these organizations together, because like I said before, people are coming in with
Maybe who's your easiest who's your easiest client? Because coordination is hard.
Yeah.
So they're all
I
hard.
would say who it's not. It's not government. They're probably the most difficult. There's leading nonprofit organizations that are always pushing the limits. So you have organizations like United Way and 211, some of the big veteran service organizations that understand the need for this. They've been trying to do it. They've just been doing it manually.
And from an ROI perspective, are folks who are using the platform mostly looking at time savings, cost efficiencies, or how are people kind of deciding, I'm getting value out of Unite Us?
Yeah. So with our software, we're able to allow communities to service 10 times more people, but we're also able to track 100% of outcomes, which is a huge increase on the current landscape where 2-in-1 systems, on average, only have to track between 8 and 10% of all referrals that they make. So they're making referrals to the other 90%, and they don't even know if that individual is going to the organization because they're just handing contact information to the client, not to the other service provider. So we can see that end-to-end connectivity now.
Thank you.
2 questions for you. One is clarifying. I'm not clear on, are you like a government contractor, or are you more like an aftermarket for this segment that, just because it has sort of friction implications?
Think of us as an early Salesforce.com.
Okay. And then my second question is, where's your product at maturity-wise? When has it been deployed, and what's your traction like so far?
Yeah, we launched at the end of 2013. We've gone through 2 different versions of our software. Our second version launches in 2 weeks, which will allow us to expand outside of the veteran and military community. We are, again, going to be in 25 city states where we're coordinating public, private, and nonprofit organizations by the end of this year. It's been an exciting time for us.
And you obviously work with so many service providers. How difficult is integrating into each service provider? Is data different? Is the software different? And what's that timeline for you to get started with somebody?
Yeah, so the tech component is actually the easiest part. The hardest part is managing personalities and having people change their workflow and how they operate. And what we just have to do is it's an education process, because a lot of these organizations are already doing double entry in a sense of they're sending an email or they're sending or making a phone call to a partner outside of the service that they provide, but they don't calculate that as double entry or double work. So when we educate them on leveraging the software and the tool that needs to be simple to use, not, I fear to say, Salesforce.com, where you have to have kind of a PhD in Salesforce to figure it out. It needs to be very intuitive, that works within their workflow. It's not just a management tool.
And time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Unite Us. Melissa Corto from Education Modified.
Hello, everyone. Okay, here we go. Good afternoon. My name is Melissa Corto. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Education Modified, and we are changing the way that we do special education. Why? Well, the majority of you have daily access to amazing technology that gives you predictive analytics or manages your entire sales team, where unfortunately, educators are still dealing with this. And this is the federal compliance document for students with special needs. It is a static piece of paper, and it is passed on from year to year in a manila envelope. And unfortunately, research has proven that compliance does not equal better student outcomes. And on top of that, teachers are consistently using outdated systems, sticky notes, spreadsheets. So it's no wonder that up to 40% of kids with special needs do not graduate high school on time. Yet, we are still asking teachers to stand in front of classrooms that look like this. So that is why we created Education Modified. I'd like you to meet Amanda. As you can see from this grade book, as you can see in any grade book, Amanda is not doing so well on some of her standards. But what you can't see is that Amanda has dyslexia. So with the system powered by Education Modified, we plug into that system and automatically recommend the research-based accommodations, modifications, and interventions for Amanda and her special need. We curate the latest from cognitive science and give teachers the research behind it, tools, apps, downloads, printables, everything that they need to modify instruction for Amanda at their fingertips. And then we collect all of that information in Amanda's learning biography, which is a real-time portfolio of actually what works and what doesn't work for Amanda. So we know this strategy works 90% of the time for Amanda. Her parents can see what's working in class and practically try it at home, can be passed on from year to year, and even the students themselves can modify their own instruction. And the best part is that we can capture all of this information and satisfy compliance. There's a great market opportunity for us with our distribution strategy. There are tons of companies that already sell into K-12 schools, and we can strategically partner with them to access their installed customer base, which is a pretty big market. And then from there, we can go ahead and attack the $110 billion special ed market. We've made a lot of traction in the past year. We won a couple competitions. We launched and piloted a prototype. We then actually launched a product with a strategic partner. We began working with great organizations like the Harvard Graduate School of Ed, and we went from 2 pilots in Maine to paying customers in New York City Public Schools, South Portland, Springfield, Massachusetts. We're really close to signing our first district sale, and we anticipate to launch in 6 states by September. And the best part, and my favorite part, is working with an amazing team. We've been able to attract senior technologists from places like Amplify and Cengage, who have successful exits. We work with seasoned entrepreneurs and people with great business acumen, and then experts in the field of research, policy, and education. So my team and I really look forward to bringing the technology that teachers need into the classroom and changing the way that we do special education. Thank you.
Wow, with 30 seconds to spare.
Oh,
Good.
I told you.
Thanks so much. I've done some work with some ed tech companies
Yes.
that are selling into school districts. Could you describe your go-to-market a little bit more? I mean, it's obviously a long sales cycle to
Yes.
get into districts. Who are you selling into, and how are you cracking the code on that?
Yeah, sure. So we got our first strategic partner with a gradebook company in which we directly plug into them in terms of their technology. And they came to us because a lot of their clients, all their schools were asking, well, what about the special ed kids? What about the special ed kids? So we are working with strategic partners to sell into their installed customer base. And so we're working on revenue share agreements with them. Does that answer your question? Okay.
And what's the pricing model for the district? Is it on a per student basis? Or?
Yeah, no, so we have, it's tiered based on the size of the institution. So it is not per student basis, it's not per teacher basis. We believe that all teachers will want to use it regardless of if they have diagnosed kids in their class. All learning challenges exist everywhere. So it's based on the size of the school and the size of the district. Classic SaaS model. And then we have other revenue streams that include professional development, annual one-time onboarding fee, and then we're playing around with a featured recommendation tool.
I have a question I'm excited about. Before going to that one, do you have any people of color on your team?
We do not have people of color on my team right now. No,
Okay.
we are a all-women executive management team,
Awesome.
and we do have 2 people of color on our advisory board.
Okay, so I'd encourage you to check out some peeps at this conference.
Yes.
Now, the question I was excited about is, it sounds like you described that this plugs into systems.
Yes.
What I'm really excited about that is that the status quo sucks, as a lot of us often know. And so I imagine that so many of these school systems are different, are like bureaucratic, and I'm talking about the stuff we're describing as bureaucratic.
Yes.
So would love to hear from your perspective, talk a little bit about how, because or thanks to it being a plugin, how that's going to help with the adoption.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so that was a very strategic decision. We did pilot a standalone product, and the adoption was okay, but the usage, I was a teacher for 9 years. I know the user experience as well. The last thing teachers need is something else to plug into, another sign-in, et cetera. And that's where the movement is going in ed tech anyway. Integration and collaboration, LTI standards, all of that. So we definitely know it'll help with the adoption and the usage. We also hope to leverage the data that teachers are already entering every day. Teachers are already grading kids. They're already assessing what's working and what's not working, but it's a matter of capturing that professional memory in a meaningful way.
Quickly, I love that, and so I'd encourage you to add, it's a data play, big data.
Oh, yes, okay.
That's really great.
I've been told that before. I do need to take that advice. Yes, thank you.
We're at time.
Oh, that's it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Education Modified. Now please welcome to the stage Natasha Green from We Intervene.
So after I click this, they'll see my next slide, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, so quick question. How many of you in here have ever been suspended or received detention in high school or middle school? My goodness, a lot of you guys, y'all bad. The reason why I asked this question, because I used to be a dean of discipline at DeWitt Clinton High School in the Bronx. And one of the many issues I had when I was a dean in 2011 was that I was a part of the school to prison pipeline problem. The reason why I say that is because I wasn't giving our students alternatives for their misbehaviors. I was suspending them for 5 days, and now they're going into this vicious loop of not learning and not being involved. Therefore, I was like, Tasha, what could you do? I'm like, oh, create an app. And so I ended up creating an app for us as deans, and the app allows all educators to find a resource in the area, not only in the area, but internally, in schools. We now have community schools that are running rampant, with a lot of money coming down from Carl Hastie, our speaker. New York City is in a prime location to be doing a lot with community schools outside and inside the school. My app actually allows it to be text, information text, emailed, printed out for families, and I know being a dean, I was a little bit too late, so now the school counselors have to play this bigger role in doing it. So we actually make sure the school counselors are able to use this product efficiently, easily, and with 500 to 600 students, I made it really easy. And so my market, like I said, happens to be our schools that are more troubled, and I wanted to address a niche market. Granted, we have over 13,000 school districts, over 100,000 schools, but I'm not going to even bother with that. I want to do my niche market, the schools that have the most needs, and if I pick the schools out of the Council of the Great City Schools, that market means that they're all entitled for Title I funding. What is Title I funding, you ask? Well, it's for the achievement of the disadvantaged. It's supposed to make sure that they receive the appropriate help to be successful. And $4 billion they get, hey, if I talk to them according to the academic intervention services or different modules that we could have and we intervene, I'm sure that we could work together to make sure our students are okay. And I'm a SaaS model priced at $2,500, professional development, you make sure you charge the school for that. And because we're modular, we will scale up or scale down according to the data needs and according to the school district needs. I put this up so you can see my face, no, so that you can see that I have a past of really caring about being out in the community, engaging from the Rainbow Push Summit, from New York Tech Meetup, from going to school counselors, UFT events, talking to school counselors, surveying them, really involved with trying to understand how do we get from point A to point B, and that's being able to have a successful product in our schools. I was a finalist recently on Monday. I wish I received the money, but that's okay. I was the finalist with the help from the Libra Group, and George is actually a part of the President Obama My Brother's Keepers Initiative. It's a great partnership. They're going to be helping me do a lot of things. Lastly, I do want to point out that I am a solo founder for We Intervene. I have a master's degree in educational leadership, a master's degree in mathematics education, finishing up a computational chemistry degree. I think my professor wants me to stay in college longer than necessary, but that should be done. I wasn't able to build this out myself, although I have the full potential of coding out this whole product. I just was starting an archery business, trying to build two businesses simultaneously, do not do it. But I want you to notice the first quote from Community Superintendent District 7, Alvarez. We will be working together, and we are working together to bring this into the South Bronx, one of our most neediest communities in New York City. And I started young, you know. I started like November 2014, I got the conversation going. March 2015, we got it started. March 2016, we had alpha, beta going on. School counselors love me. They know about me already. My relationship is really good with schools. And there's a lot more for me to say, but it's a limited time, so you have to look for me after in the happy hour, because I got a lot more to say. Is my time up?
Your time. Thank you.
What are some examples of the alternatives that students can participate in rather than being suspended via their program?
So the alternatives from using We Intervene are the restorative approaches that we are seeing lately.
Both.
Okay, so currently we had a lot of detention going on versus suspension. Now there's a big push to restorative approaches, and restorative approaches is the idea of why don't we do more counseling and more things in the front end, at the teacher level and education level in the classroom. And that's like sitting down, counseling services, social services. But the issue is that when you have a schools, and many schools that have more school safety agents than school counselors and social workers, that's an issue. So what you're saying that you want to do and what you're really doing is not connected. And so currently they're still in this place of trying to figure out what does it look like to have strong schools, strong communities. And so that question still needs to be asked in a couple of more months. But I'll definitely tell you the update on that.
You're amazing. I just out of the gate. I just like, pause and sit on that. I felt like I was kind of seeing the product, and I'm seeing it kind of get into market. And then I wasn't actually clear on if it's live or where it's live. Can you just paint that picture for me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so yes, we have a working beta model. What I've done this past 3-4 months, I've been working with Superintendent Alvarez, the assistant principals, the school counselors, and trying to determine what does it look like for it to be effective at the teacher-educator level, but also effective for the assistant principals and principals with the data analysis on interventions, on referrals, on community-based organizations internally connecting with the services. And it's at this point where we have a product that's usable and that's great, but to get that secret sauce will mean to make sure we're doing the internal connections with different partners and CBOs. So we're at the stage of, yes, it's okay, it's usable, but there's still more that needs to be done and built out to make sure it's effective, and there's no questions on different things like data or the toggle button to make sure things are private versus public. So we have a little bit more to do.
If I could just follow up, I mean, you've accomplished so much on your own. Are you thinking about bringing in a partner, sort of an execution partner, just so you can get more done because you have so much that's figured out? I don't want you to not get it done.
Yes. No, I feel you, for real. So I originally had co-founders in the beginning. Like, this was an idea I had in 2011. Mind you, I was still a dean of discipline. And Bob Seltzer ended up being an educational consultant out in Philadelphia. Keisha ended up having some kids, and she's a lawyer, corporate lawyer, and that time gap between 2011 and 2014, they couldn't do it. And that was a time gap where I was learning how to code, like all of life. I'm very interested. I tried out for a couple accelerators. I'm a solo founder. I don't make the cut, and that's okay. But along the way, I met some great people. Even some of them I talked to in the crowd, and they're pushing me along. But you're totally correct. There needs to be another person or a strategic person, pushing me, and I'm looking into that. But I'm gonna get back to you. I'm gonna see what the Libra group is saying. We have a meeting July 8th. They're also really interested in trying to figure out how to ingrain this in my Brother's Keeper initiative. So I'm gonna get back to you on just how to move a lot quicker.
It's not as criticism. It's just
yes, no, I get
to keep
it.
moving forward.
No.
So I have a couple questions. The first one is I was really excited when you talked about SMS because I can see talking about access, right? That's a really great way to get to your crowd. The other thing that I was wondering is a pricing question. I think you had 2.5K, and I've heard from other entrepreneurs who focus on schools and that there's kind of like a discretionary budget that is that right under so that they don't need to ask?
Okay, so no, 500 like $499, but $500 is the discretionary budget amount. And so what you need to do if you're an ed tech product, you have to get into their vendor. You have to have a principal either sign you up, because if you try to sign yourself up, it takes too long. So I asked the principal to just do it for me. And so after you get that done, they have credit cards that they could actually use for purchase, but they also have another stream of funds, like the restricted funds I told you about, Title I, for like the advancement of the kids who are disenfranchised. They have that. They have everything else they could use, but you have to make sure you're in FAMIS. It's called FAMIS. But no, my product cannot be under that amount. And also it's modular. So as I build out professional development, 3 workshops you need cost X amount, or other components, it's going to be more than $2,500. But yeah.
So I'm just putting it out there in terms of thinking about as you have these, betas or pilots, that might be something that you can do to get in, because I'm pretty sure once you're in, it's easier to convert, right? The other thing, I'm so glad that you talked about almost like the preventive aspect that you're saying. And so once again, this reminds me of like the prior startup. This is a data play, and if you're able to get all this information, and then you can, we've seen so many studies that show that certain populations, such as Black young girls, actually get, suspended and, detention, all that stuff. And you're like, yo, these 2 kids, one is white, the same offense. That's really exciting. So I don't know if you're already thinking about that, how to do that, and then that could be an interesting, just in terms of funding, I can see a lot of people who would be interested in funding it in terms of creating a fairer, just
No,
situation.
it's awesome. Yeah, and I'm going to
We're
jot
at
it down.
time.
Yeah, I'm going to jot it down. We'll talk.
Thank you. Intervene. Please welcome to the stage Jane Barrett from Goldbean.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jane Barrett, the founder and CEO of Goldbean, and I'm here to talk to you about money. Usually makes everyone feel a little gross, but so picture a pyramid. Picture a pyramid, and on the bottom of that pyramid is all of the time and effort you spend earning money, right? It's the vast majority of your waking hours, right? On the second, can I have the clicker, by the way? On the second layer is spending, right? Spending's the fun part. Like, you've earned the money, now you get to spend it. And then if you've got some left over from spending, maybe you save it, but that just causes anxieties for many, many people. And on the very top of the pyramid is the idea of growing your money. For far too many people, they get stuck at the earning and the spending, but the saving and the growing can be an issue. So at Goldbean, our goal is to turn consumers into investors. Basically, leap your way up the pyramid. Oh, that was me. And a couple of stats. And these are kind of depressing, so sorry. But every second household in this country carries an average of $15,000 in credit card debt. That's debilitating. That's over $2,000 a year on average just to service that debt. There's very little savings if you look at in 401ks. So even if you're working, lucky enough to have a full-time job and a 401k, the truth is it's probably not going to be enough to live on. And then there's way other big impacts as well in terms of HR managers believe, and the number is they believe that on average $5,000 impact to your productivity if you have money problems. And they say it's an enormous issue within the workplace that people really haven't got their heads around their own personal finance. And the harsh reality is 2/3 of this country has never had any financial advice. So Goldbean, we are registered investment advisors, and our goal is to get people started on the road to financial fitness with both content and tools that guides a shift from consumption to growth. So if you think of advice, you're going to think I'm going to say stuff like ETFs and mutual funds and index funds and like every other investment advisor. If you don't understand what those words mean, you shut down. So Hassani and I, say hi, Hassani. Hassani and I built a company that basically leverages our past history of digital marketers and advertisers. We worked with brands, we worked with companies for over 20 years. And guess what? And we apologize for this, but you've been trained from birth as consumers. You have brands literally branded in your head. right? You hear ETF, you don't know what I'm talking about, but by goodness, we can talk about Adidas and Nike and Whole Foods and all of these amazing companies. So our goal is to build advice that you can understand. You show me where you shop, and we'll tell you, here's an investment portfolio based on where you spend your money. Right? Again, we have a duty to give you a balanced portfolio, but we can make it a lot more personal for you. So this advice layer is ongoing. You don't have to share your data if it gives you out. You can do people like you also like recommendation engine. But we describe ourselves as an education-first advisor. And what that means is that we give appropriate education based on where you are in your life, as well as ongoing education. No one wants to read a bunch of books. Everyone tells you the same thing. Save your money, invest it. It's great. But I really like shopping, and I really like eating, and now I have no money left. So we're just trying to interrupt that cycle and show even if you have no money right now, it's a great time to learn. You can come with $0 in, get a practice portfolio set up, and just see what it feels like. And frankly, even if 78% of our clients have some sort of debt, it may be mortgage, it may be student loan, it may be credit card debt, but it's a great way to imagine what happens when I get out of debt. I can actually start growing this money instead of spending money to service my debt. So the third part of our platform, you actually can trade through our platform, which means you can buy stocks and you can buy funds. And it is very low cost. This is, as I said, we're very serious about education. Based on where you are in your life journey, we serve up articles and tools to help you just move to the next step.
And time.
I'm at time already?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay, you're going to ask me the milestone questions anyway, so we'll do that.
Hi. We know each other, but I am not
Full
up to speed
disclosure.
on your product.
Good.
So, where is your product? Is it in anyone's hands right now, and how's it being used?
Sorry, I shouldn't have flipped through milestones because our roadmap is we have launched B2C, hellogoldbean.com, 7-day free trial, $50 a year. So we have a consumer product out there, but our roadmap is to be a B2B player, right? So partnering with banks, brokers, and advisors to basically give an entry-level product. And it's one of the big dirty secrets of the financial world is that everyone's chasing the same pile of money. Right? So most platforms out there are saying, bring us your pile, versus let me help you get started building a pile. So
That's a white label.
so that's a white label model. Yeah. Yeah. So we're in market. We've been in market since Q4 last year.
And there are a number of products online that are trying to provide financial advice and educate consumers, whether they're millennials or other kind of demographics. How do you differentiate your content and your ability to kind of really add value without kind of destroying value, like products like Credit Sesame and other things do when they send you loans that you shouldn't be even taking in the first place? And so how do you prevent that?
So, our big differentiator is that we actually use your own data to get started. So instead of just saying, oh, you're a random, like me, urban middle-aged mom, and so we're going to send you a bunch of products and then sell you as lead gen, we don't have a lead gen model. We have a license model and a per-user model. So having the differentiation around data, and there's some really interesting signals already that is coming out of that data that we basically feed back to the community. What are the popular places people shop? What are the popular stocks? How are different people doing? So it's a much more open community-based approach to investing versus just you're up 2%, which is what most people say.
And I guess so then you ask for access to our financial accounts. So you log into my Chase account and kind of scrape through everything. Is that how it works? Or?
You choose what to share. The data aggregation is if you have 5 different accounts at Chase, you can say, just show my credit card. Or many people, and weirdly it's an age line, people under 35 will share everything. People over 35 are a lot more squeamish.
I bet.
So I love branding, and I have an idea for you, and then I have questions. Money whisperer. The way that you talk about what you're doing is you're a money whisperer. So just putting it out there. License model. Can you talk a little bit about the license model? What does that mean? And then also if you can talk a little bit more about your team, that would be awesome.
Sure. So the license model is, and you see it in fintech especially, companies raise an enormous amount of money only to turn around to give it to Facebook and Google to acquire individual customers. The license model strategy is to go where people already have a trusted relationship, whether it's with retail brokers, someone's opened an E-Trade account but don't know what to do, or with banks where I have a savings account and it's just sitting there and can't really put it to work. So the license model is basically a installation fee and then a per user cost on the license basis. And then the team, so Hassani, I, and Peter were the founding team, with the three faces up there, where Hassani is the CTO, technologists, we're investors. We're all been investors ourselves for our whole adult lives, and I think that is the big differentiator, is that when you're not from finance, you don't speak finance. And most finance people just lose the rest of the world with jargon. And so as investors ourselves that have been able to be proof points of, money buys you options in life. You didn't have to keep working at a job forever. You can take a break and start a company because we've been investors from a young age. So our approach really is to stay in touch with the regular people of the world.
And time.
And time. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you.
Oh, wait, that was the last one.
That's it for the first pitch as part of the Startup Showcase. Please meet with these entrepreneurs, get to know them, get to know their businesses. Give one more round of applause.